But now how can you cash in on making sure that Herbalife works for you, makes your dreams come true, gets you the income that you want for your future, helps you to stabilize your financial situation, gives you satisfaction in growing personally, gives you the joy of touching other people's lives and having them come back and thank you for that. How to make that powerful for you, how to make it real for you. That's what I'd like to talk about today. First of all, we've got the market power. As I travel around the world, it becomes very clear that the industry that we're in is an unending opportunity. People that need to get their health in order, people that need to adjust their weight, people that need to utilize the health and nutrition that Herbalife offers. I'm telling you, the demand for these products, the demand in this industry is global. It's beyond belief. It is unmeasurable in terms of trying to comprehend how big it really is. In fact, we're way behind in trying to supply the need there is around the world. Even in America, we've been in business now 18 years, and right now there's a bigger demand for these products than there was 18 years ago. We're falling behind even here in America because the demand is so great, and we haven't grown that much to meet the demand even in 18 years. So you can imagine with this kind of market power, the demand being undiminished all around the world, that Herbalife has the opportunity to cash in on that, and primarily you have the opportunity to cash in on that. That's the kind of demand, not only here in America, but of course in every country around the world. It's absolutely the same. So first of all, we've got the market power. It's also an unending market for recruiting. The teenagers that were 17 years old 5 years ago are now 22. Some of them are married, starting their family, and they need extra money. It's like a river that forever flows, an unending supply of people coming into the marketplace that are available as prospects for Herbalife distributors. An unimaginable amount of prospects for Herbalife customers, but the steady stream of people that are looking for ways to make some extra money, looking for somebody with a vision, looking for somebody that'll give them encouragement, looking for somebody that'll teach them the trade, that'll teach them how to look into the future, how to develop the skills, how to become better than they are. That is an unending supply, and I call that market power. People that have retired, but now they've decided that in retirement they need some extra money. All of that market is available. Not only where we started here in America, but absolutely all around the world. So that's the market power. Second is something that I call capital power. A few years ago, the walls came tumbling down in Eastern Europe, communism being defeated, and a whole new surge of interest in capitalism. How to take a little bit of capital and turn it into progress. How to turn it into products, how to turn it into service. And that whole power of capitalism is sweeping the entire world. And guess who's helping to teach the world how to take advantage of capitalism? It's Herbalife. On my trips to Russia, 11,000 people come to hear the story. But guess what they also want to hear about? This unique thing called capitalism. How they can take a little bit of what they've got and turn it into product, turn it into service, and thereby be in business for themselves, serve the public, make their fortune, and make their dreams come true. But country after country, no matter where I go, this whole idea of the marketplace, this whole idea of capitalism is absolutely catching fire. It's unbelievable. So it's a tailor-made world for Herbalife. Not only our products, not only our support system, but for this idea of how to take so little but mix it with a lot of faith, mix it with a lot of courage, mix it with a lot of intensity, give it some time, breathe some life into it, and you can take what is small in terms of the money capital and add all of the rest of the capital and turn it into business, turn it into enterprise. We now have the ability to teach that all around the world, in every language, in every country, in every community, in every city. It's called capital power. Now next is called the Herbalife power. Herbalife, these 18 years now, has gathered the most incredible staff of people all around the world. Not only here in Los Angeles, at home office, but absolutely around the world, all of the staff that helps all of these countries to function in terms of supply, in terms of backup systems, in terms of communication, helping to organize the meetings, doing all of those things. I've never seen such a staff in all of my life, and I've been out there in the business world for about the last 40 years. Herbalife has got the best. And no matter what country I go to, there it is, the Herbalife power, ready to assist, ready to lend a hand, ready to give you the best in terms of information, like the broadcast that's coming to you today. This kind of support system, I'm telling you, is absolutely unbeatable. It can give you the assurance that no matter where you go, recruiting at home around where you live, or recruiting across town, or recruiting across your community, or recruiting across your city, or recruiting throughout your country, or recruiting throughout the world. Everywhere you go where Herbalife does business, you'll find this incredible Herbalife power at your disposal, ready to serve you with the information, with the ideas, with the products, with the inspiration, bringing you Mark Hughes and Dr. Katzen and all of the others, like all of us who travel around the world. That's called Herbalife power. So first, we've got the market power, unprecedented around the world. We've got the capital power, capitalism sweeping the world. We've got the Herbalife power of 18 years now of experience, unprecedented, from what Mark Hughes has learned as the president, chief executive officer of the company, right on down to the newest sponsor in the Herbalife business. All of that power available. Now comes the last part, and that is your personal power. So I wanted you to get just a little idea of the power that's available to you, the market power, the capital power, the Herbalife power. But here's now is what's going to be significant to your personal future, and that is your personal power. Sometimes you have to just stop for a while and think about what you might have available yourself to bring to your own future enterprise. We reach out for the products and they're there. We reach out for the marketing and it's there. We reach out for the Herbalife help and it's there. The marketplace, it's there. Capital is ready to serve you. But now, how about you? Maybe you haven't thought lately about all of the power that you possess that's available that you can bring to this collective enterprise to make your dreams come true. But I just wanted to remind you on this particular day of all that's available within yourself. First, you have the ability to see. What a power that is, to see things, to be able to use your mind, to comprehend, to see, to perceive. You have the ability to hear, to listen. The old phrase says that it's the listening that creates the faith. It's the listening that stimulates the imagination, that can see things that don't yet exist. It's the ability to hear testimonials and formulate in your own mind the possibilities of starting from nothing and developing something, starting, deep in the hole and working your way out and finally becoming successful. The ability to hear those testimonials, to hear good ideas. That now creates imagination. Imagination then has the ability to turn to faith. Faith is the ability not only to be able to perceive it and to see it, but the ability to believe that it's possible, that it can happen. And then, of course, Herbalife now has all of these testimonials from all around the world, from all walks of life, that give all of us the examples of where you can start from this part of your life. You can start in this part of the world. You can start with these limitations. And here's what eventually you can become. That host of testimonials not only gives us the ability to see and imagine that it's possible, but finally to believe that if we took those steps, that if we learned those lessons, that if we developed those skills, that if we used our imagination and our faith, that the same thing that's happened to all of these others whose testimonials we hear, the same thing can happen for you. So that's the power you have, the ability to see, the ability to hear, the ability to comprehend and understand. That's powerful. The ability to believe that it's possible, the ability to evaluate it, what it might mean for you. We hear a testimonial and we say, yes, but how would that apply to me? We have the ability to evaluate that so that we could start right where we are with our own limitations of capital, our limitations of time, perhaps in the beginning when you have to start part-time. But you can do that. You have the power and the ability to do that. Then here's another one. You have the ability and the power to decide. Decision-making can have the most dramatic effect in your life. Decision-making can be the beginning of a new growth period for you, not only personally, but a growth period for your business, your skill levels, your ability to reach out and touch other people, the ability to decide. What a long list of personal power you have, that I have, that all of us have. We just need to be reminded. Now here's another one, and that's the ability to act, the ability to put into action what you see, what you comprehend, what you imagine, what you believe, and then what you have faith for. That ability to act is unprecedented in creating the miracle, because it's not imagination that creates a career. It's not imagination that creates a business. It's not imagination that creates a customer base. It's using your imagination and finally putting it to work. But you have the ability to do that. Fortunately, in Herbalife, you can do it part-time. If you have to get started with limited time, you just make the limited time pay. You know, before you go to work, during your lunch hour, in the evenings, on the weekends, little pieces of time that you find something to do that will start your career, keep it going, and keep the momentum high. Your ability to act can develop all of the disciplines, because you cannot learn the disciplines unless you actually do the work, unless you actually do the action. It's like learning to communicate. Way back in those early days, I had a tough time. You know, I described it one time, my first meeting, I stood up, my mind sat back down, left me standing there. I opened my mouth and nothing came out. My knees are banging together. The sweat's pouring off my face. I'm scared. It's called terror, right? Those first few times. But sure enough, I did it again. I worked up the courage to do it the third time and the fourth time. And that was about 35, 36 years ago. I'm glad you were not in on my first presentation. And now, much more confidence all these years later, because I have acted on practicing my skills to communicate. But you've got the ability to do that. You've got the power and the ability to create a career that will serve you well for whatever time you want to spend in developing this career. You have the ability to develop an enterprise, a business, to be in business for yourself. Mark Hughes has created this incredible enterprise called Herbalife. At first it was a dream. At first he thought about it. He saw other people that had tried, and some of them had tried and failed, and he said, I'm going to try and succeed. But first it was a vision in his mind, then he went to work on that vision, and now look what's happened all of these years later. And Mark's testimonial is just like yours and mine. If we can do it, you can do it. If we can start, you can start. If we can believe, you can believe. If we can try, you can try. And if we can try again, you can try again. If you can keep trying until finally it gets easier, finally the skills start to develop, if any of us can do it, you can do it. You have the ability to develop these disciplines that create value in your life. The disciplines, learning how to sell, learning how to get customers, learning how to build that customer base, the skills of learning how to recruit. You can learn to do that. You have the power to do that. Learning how to serve your organization well, learning how to communicate, learning how to organize the people that you put together, learning how to keep in touch. All of that is within your personal power. So I wanted to remind you one more time of all of the power that's available. First, the market power. Second, the capital power. third, the Herbalife power, and fourth, your personal power. If you put all of that together and just think about it a little more now than you have maybe in the past, there's no reason why you can't have all of the business you want, all of the success you want. And I'm telling you, there never was a better year to do it than this year. This is the year of high intensity. This is the year of formulating the dreams of doing billions in sales as a company around the world. But it's also the vision of helping each Herbalife distributor, each customer get maximum benefit from the products, and each distributor to get maximum benefit from the opportunity. That's what we're all about. And with this kind of power, especially for you personally, there's no reason why you cannot dramatically, this year especially, affect your own life, and by that, affect the lives of the people that you want to touch in the years to come. Here are some of my suggestions for this year to make this an even better year than perhaps you had decided to make it when the year first began. And here's this list. I'd like to have you take some notes. If you're ready to take notes, I'm ready to share with you my list. How to make this a fantastic year for you, cashing in on all of the power, all of the intensity, the momentum that Herbalife has going for it at the time. Here's the first one. Review your performance. Even when you first get started and you're out there just starting to learn the Herbalife skills, just starting to put it all together, you have to pause every once in a while and ask, how am I doing? And sometimes this kind of personal inspection of ourselves can be very valuable, because what you want to do is to overcome your mistakes as early as possible. In my first year learning to recruit, learning to sell, all those years ago, I remember some habits that I got into, especially that first year, that I had to, by the time that year was finished, take a look at and start to make changes. And if you can make those changes as early as possible, then those changes can give you more value to cash in on for the future. So that's a good one. Review your performance. Mark Hughes does it. Dr. Katzen does it. All of us do it. The leaders in Herbalife have learned to do it, to sit down once in a while and take a look at your own performance, what you're doing, what you're saying, and how you're saying it. That's vitally important, especially if you'd like to be an effective leader for the future. Review your performance. Give yourself a grade at the end of the day, just personally between you and yourself. Would I give myself an A or an A+ for today's activity? Would I give myself a B? Okay. Would I give myself a C? Passable. Or did I sort of mess up some things today that I don't feel that good about? Not something you have to publicize. Not something that you have to perhaps let anyone else know about it, just so you know about it. Every once in a while, take the time to check your own performance and review how you're doing. A very famous man, Dr. Schuler, I was traveling with him one time in Singapore and Kuala Lumpur. And I remember after we finished those two occasions, we had about 3,000 in each seminar. This very famous man, who's been out there lecturing and teaching for the last 35, 40 years, and he's famous around the world, has a famous church in America. As we were talking after the session in Singapore, he said, you know, Mr. Rohn, I think my presentation in Kuala Lumpur on the scale of 1 to 10 was only about a 6. He said, I got to talking politics and I should have left those subjects alone, and that got me a little bit distracted. And if I was to evaluate my performance, my presentation in Kuala Lumpur, he said, I think it was probably about a 6. But he said, here in Singapore, the one we just completed, I felt good about. And if I was to evaluate my presentation here, I think on the scale of 1 to 10, it was about a 9. And I had to agree with him. Those numbers were probably pretty true. But here's what was interesting. This famous man, been famous for many years, lecturing around the world, was still judging his own performance, still taking a critical look at how he was doing, whether or not he was distracted, whether or not he was talking about subjects he should have left alone, especially in that particular country. And I thought, how amazing. No wonder he's famous. No wonder he's thought of well around the entire world, because he's still judging his performance. I want to do the same with my performance. Am I better this year than I was last year? Have I taken off some of the sharp edges that were there a couple of years ago? Is it getting a little better in my own presentation, my own performance? And not only my performance on the platform and on the stage, but most important is your performance in dealing with people one-on-one, dealing with people in a small group. Sometimes that performance, that situation is even more important, than doing the performance on the stage in Barcelona or Japan or Orlando. Because the few that you might have around that could become the big leaders in your organization for the future, the performance you have there, what you say there, how you say it there, can be just as important and perhaps even more important than your performance on the stage when there's 1,000 people to listen. But I think that's a good thing to consider as you move through the year. Take some time to review your performance. Also, in reviewing your performance, it's not a bad idea to have some people around you that you trust their counsel, and let them help to evaluate your performance. And here's why. Sometimes when we're so busy during the day and we're so busy and when we're doing the meeting, it's hard to sort of think about how we're doing. We just go do it. But someone who might observe some things that we don't think about might be able to give us some very wise advice. So those that are close around you, don't hesitate to ask them, how did I do? How was that presentation? How was that training class? How was my workshop? Was it okay? What kind of grade would you give me? Or on the scale of 1 to 10, how would you evaluate my performance? And if it's someone you trust that can give you good feedback on your performance, your language, your style, how you make the presentation, your attitude and how it comes across, your personality, maybe some things that they can see that you can't see. Because sometimes we get so involved we can't see it ourselves. But someone else on sort of the outside looking in can observe. Not to tear you down, but to give you some good feedback and some wise advice. This is a good one, reviewing your performance with yourself and with the help of others that are around you that can give you wise advice. Now here's another one this year that can make this a fabulous year for you, and that is to face your fears. We've all got them. The fear that we might not do a good job. The fear that it might not turn out as we hope it would. The fears that are lurking there, some that have come and have been there even maybe since our childhood. Life is consisted of both fear and faith. Faith, of course, is the ability to overcome your fears. But what you have to do in terms of your fears, about perhaps your own inadequacy, not feeling strong enough at the moment, you just have to face those fears. And you just have to go to work on them. What could I do to eliminate this fear, or to at least overcome it? Or what I like to say, drive it into a small corner. Because there's always the conflict between faith and fear. But here's what faith can do. Drive your fears into a small corner. But if you start amplifying your fears, guess what your fears can do? Drive your faith into a small corner. There's always a contest between one and the other, between good and evil, between darkness and light, between sickness and health, between liberty and tyranny. The contest is always on. But what we have to learn to do is face that dark side, face that difficult side, and see if we can't manage it. Maybe not eliminate it altogether, but drive it into such a small corner that it does not affect the rest of your performance. So face your fears, whatever they are. This is a good year to do that. You've got the strength to do it. You've got the help to do it. You've got the support to do it. This is the time to do it this year, to make this your best year. Here's the next one that I would give you good advice for this year, and that is to exercise your willpower. No telling what you can do if you set your mind to do it. Two of the most powerful words in the language, I will. Benjamin Disraeli once said, nothing can resist a human will. And if you'll use those two words a little more often this year, I will learn the disciplines. I will get better every day. I will make sure my presentation is the best. I will make the best of my opportunity. I will maximize my time. I will try to correct my errors in judgment better this year than last year. I will do a superb job. If you'll use that willpower, I'm telling you, the I will power that you have is unmatched if you'll just use it. Sometimes we have a lot that we aren't using. It's like having a bank account and you never write a check. That would be a little strange. Or you have a $10 million bank account and you keep writing $1 checks. What I'm asking you to do, you've got a $10 million bank account of willpower. What I'm asking you to do this year, and that is to write some larger checks, take on some larger challenges, and say to yourself, hey, I've learned to solve problems in the past. I will solve the problems of the future. I will correct my mistakes. I will learn to meet people that I was afraid of before. I will learn to master getting up and talking in those public meetings. I will become a leader and help people with their Herbalife future. I will make the necessary changes. I'm telling you, you can do that. Here's another one. Admit your mistakes. Sometimes we have to admit our mistakes to others around us that we sort of let down because of those mistakes. We have to admit to others that we're counting on us, that, it didn't work out and we made those mistakes. But here's the most important, and that is to learn to admit your mistakes to yourself. The most powerful counsel that you can possibly have is the counsel of your own conscience, the counsel of yourself. We appreciate the counsel of Mark Hughes. We appreciate the counsel of the president's team, the chairman's club. We appreciate the counsel of the leaders who are around us. We appreciate even the counsel of our family. We appreciate the counsel of our close friends. We appreciate the counsel of those we trust, whose information can be valuable to us. But here's the most important counsel to start trusting, and that is your own personal counsel. You've got some ways to figure out answers to problems that you probably haven't even tried. Admit your mistakes to yourself and sometimes just sit down with your private self and have a conversation. Here's where I blew it. Here's where I could have done better and I didn't. Here's where I let it go when I should have put it together. And just admit that to yourself and look down inside your heart, inside your soul, and then seek your own counsel and make those necessary corrections and move on. We're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to have those kinds of days when it doesn't go well. We're all going to say things at times that's out of place, untimely. We should have restrained our language when we didn't. We lost our temper when we shouldn't have. All of that's going to happen to all of us. The key is to learn from it, from the counsel of others, mostly from the counsel of yourself. Here's another great bit of advice for this year to capitalize on the Herbalife momentum especially, and that is to refine your goals. Some good questions to ask. Why did you join Herbalife? Why were you attracted to this unique enterprise? For some of you, I know it was the products. You got fabulous results. For some of you, it was the financial opportunity for the future, or the combination of the products and the financial opportunity. Some of you heard about the teaching and the training and the classes that we have that help people with their personal development. You were interested in that. For some of you, it was a chance to be rescued from financial oblivion. You hadn't found answers, perhaps up till the time you found Herbalife. Or you've always wanted an enterprise, didn't have one. You've always worked on the job, worked for someone else. Now a chance to work for yourself. A chance to multiply your efforts here where you couldn't in some other situation. I don't know what all the reasons were that you joined Herbalife. What attracted you to this unique man, Mark Hughes? What attracted you to these fantastic products? What attracted you to the Herbalife support system? A chance to work with others to make your dreams come true. I don't know what all of those early decisions you made were that attracted you to this business, but it's not a bad idea to go back and think about that. What did I have in mind when I first heard the Herbalife story? What went through my mind? What I could do with this business? What I could do with these products? It doesn't hurt to go back and review that and to solidify that, to anchor it, to lock it down. Then you must also, from there, start amplifying your own system of thinking about your goals and thinking about your future. Some things you thought of that you could do now that you've been in the business for a while. Maybe you've been here for 1 year, 2 years. Now you need to reevaluate your goals, because a year ago, here's all you could see. When you first joined, this was all that you could possibly think about. We've all heard those testimonials that have inspired us all. When someone first joined, they said, if I could only make just $500 a month, that would be fantastic. But it wasn't long until they started changing those goals. But you must not only think of the financial goals that are possible for you, but all of the rest. And here's what I call all of those refinement of your goals, and that's reasons to do well. If you have enough reasons, you can do anything. If you have enough reasons, you can go as far as you want to go, cash in on all that you want to cash in on, if you have enough reasons. Enough reasons to get up early. Enough reasons to stay up a little late. Enough reasons to buckle down and learn the disciplines. Enough reasons to put yourself through the paces. Enough reasons to develop the language. Enough reasons to pay the price. Enough reasons to put your faith to work. If you'll come up with enough reasons, Herbalife can supply the rest in terms of challenge, opportunity, a company to work within, people to help you, a support system to be part of. All of that's possible. But you've got to constantly refine your goals. Some that you went for in the beginning, you've cast aside. I did that. Some things I went for all those years ago when I first started building my organization, some things I went for, I'm telling you, it cost me too much. If I'd have known what it was going to cost, I never would have paid. I've learned to adjust my goals. Something that was an obsession, found out, hey, that's not really what I want. First, there's too big a price to pay. Second, when you finally get it, it doesn't taste that good. So this is an ongoing process for you personally, for your business, and for your family. Keep refining your goals. Purpose is stronger than object. What you want is important, but what for is even more important. So decide what you want. Decide what you want it for. Keep working on that. Because if you work on that part, Herbalife's working on this part, the President's team is working on this part, all of that fits together. And if you'll keep a clear vision of the reasons why you want Herbalife to work for you, I'm telling you, then you will be more apt to cash in on the Herbalife opportunity and use this support system to change your days, to change the momentum of your organization, to change your future. Refine your goals. Now here's another one, and that is to believe in yourself. To believe that you have the power that we talked about earlier to change your life in any direction, any dimension that you want to. Believe in yourself. You've got to believe in the future. You've got to believe in the country where you live. You've got to believe in the economic system. You've got to believe that there are leaders that can figure out politically that we're going to be okay. We're going to develop a better world in the next few years than we've had in the last few years. You've got to believe in your community. You've got to believe in your church or your synagogue. You've got to believe in the people around you. Herbalife gives you plenty to believe in: the future, the vision, the possibilities, the opportunity. But here's the most important, and that is to believe in yourself. That if you need answers, they're right there within your own consciousness. If you need support, you've got it. It's there. Believe in yourself. You have the capability and the power. Don't complain about what there isn't available. You can make up for that with your own faith and your own strength and your own power. Who was it that said, I complained about not having any shoes until I met someone who had no feet? You have got all that it takes. You have got within you the ability to see, believe, have faith. And so this year of high Herbalife momentum, high Herbalife intensity, mix that with your belief in yourself, and your life will change, your days will change, your organization will change, it'll all change. Here's another one, just a couple of more. Next is to ask for wisdom. We all need to rely on a higher power. Within Herbalife, we rely on those that have gone before and developed this powerful organization. We look to Mark for this incredible vision of the future to do mega billions in terms of the scope of the company's power and ability to do business. We rely on that. We look up to that. We look up to the inspiration of those testimonials of those that have reached the Chairman's Club, the President's Team, the Millionaire Team, all the rest. Here's another one. Conserve your time. We've all been given the same amount of time. I remember when it finally occurred to me that rich people have about 24 hours a day and poor people have about 24 hours a day. What an incredible discovery. I said, wouldn't that make me curious? Here's the rich with the same time and the poor with the same time. I wonder what the difference is. And here's what life is all about, discovering the difference of how some people have learned to cash in on the time they've got, to cash in on the day and make it 5 times more valuable now than they used to be able to 5 years ago, to capitalize on the time that you have, to capitalize on the time, to capitalize on the freedom. If you have the time and you don't use it wisely, then you're probably destined to live less than a life in a lifetime. But if you learn to capitalize on your time, here's what's possible. You can live 5 lifetimes in one. You can live 10 lifetimes in one. Because life is not just the passing of time. Life is a collection of experiences, their intensity and their frequency. And Herbalife gives you that chance to have a much wider world than probably you could have just by yourself. Herbalife gives you a chance to think beyond where you are. Maybe for all those years before you found Herbalife, you just thought locally right around where you were because that was the extent of the opportunity. But now that Herbalife has come along and you have this chance to think beyond just around where you are, to think beyond touching just a few people into touching many, many people. That now, if you'll conserve your time and use it wisely, and I'm telling you, business-wise, you can live several lifetimes in one. And experiences in touching people's lives, having them come back and thank you for it, there is no greater gift. It's one of the reasons why I still travel all around the world to all of these countries. Sure enough, someone says, Mr. Rohn, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I listened to your story, I listened to what you had to say, and it touched my life. Look what's happened to me. You can't buy that with money. So I'm asking you to wisely use your time, what time you've got. I don't know if you've got 10 years left or 20 years left or 30 years left. It did occur to me not long ago, I'm working on the last half of my life, probably. But whatever time you've got, whether it's a little time or a lot of time, here's the key. Cash in on it. Don't let it just slide by. Cash in and make this time valuable. Make this time useful. If you've got an hour, fill it up. If you have a day, fill it up. If you have a chance to talk to someone, fill up that conversation with all that you've got and all that you know and all that you feel. And if you'll start cashing in on the time that you've got, I'm telling you, life will give you the opportunity to live more than one lifetime in a lifetime.